G'day mates, welcome back to another video. To be fair, it's been a hell of a long time since I've made one, but the last one I made was about the Rugby World Cup, and that result did not go to plan at all, so it was good to take a bit of time off. Admittedly, it's been a pretty busy start to the year, moving house and trying to set up ready to make a video, but we've finally got there now. If you have watched a video I've made, can you please put down a like? It'd be bloody good. In terms of where we're at, we've just had the round 6 of the NRL. So let's do a review. Knights versus Roosters was the first game. Knights losing 20-22. Knights were at home. They were favourites to win. Didn't pick this sort of coming, especially with Teddy, the captain, for the Roosters out. Jackson Hastings certainly has added quite a bit to the Knights since he's been back in the team. Joey Manu was easily man of the match. Must have set some sort of record of 350 plus run meters. Ponga was struggling with a hip flexor injury or some sort of injury. The scores were 14-16 at half time, and it was 6-all in the second half. Roosters led at half time. Ponga made, so it came down to the wire. Ponga made a break right in full time, but most of the players were gassed. There was no one with him, but it's just those sort of those extra plays, those extra effort plays that you got to make. But the Knights sort of played themselves back into that one. Then it was Storm versus Bulldogs. Storm winning 16-14 in a very close one. I don't know how the Storm keep doing this, but the Doggies will feel upset they didn't win this one. Xavier Coates continues to add to his highlight reels and managed to get a try assist off the boot with it while in a tackle. The Storm were leading 10-0 at half time. I think there were 2 yellow cards, one to Sam Hughes for the Bulldogs, one to Pappenhausen for the Storm. And Josh Adokar had a blinder. He scored all of Bulldogs' tries, scored 3 tries. So they were obviously happy to have him back. But yeah, the Storm somehow managed to, score within the last few minutes and win that one. And it feels like they've won. They're winning very close games and managing to scrape through. But, Warriors, they came back. Needed to score twice in the last sort of 3-4 minutes. They beat the Broncos in a close one, beat the Panthers in the game round 1 close. So and when they have lost, they've lost close as well. But the Bulldogs, they're playing with confidence. You can't fault them for that at all. Even in games that they've lost, they still are playing with a heck of a lot of confidence. I don't know, that seems to be the biggest difference this year. So they are going to upset a few teams. They're definitely a much better team than they were last year. Third game, Broncos versus Dolphins. Broncos winning this reasonably comfortably, 28-14. Reece Walsh was back. Adam Reynolds was out for the Broncos. Flegler was out for the Dolphins. Dolphins are much higher on the table than the Broncos, so Broncos probably wanted to make a statement there. And Tabuai-Fidow left late in the first half with a hamstring injury. He could be out for a little while. Xavier Willison scored his first try in the NRL, I believe, right on halftime. Only 2 tries in the first half. Score was 6-4 at halftime, pretty close. Broncos scored just after the half, straight after the half, and ran away with it from there. I think the score blew out to 28-4 for the Broncos, and the Dolphins scored a couple of tries late to sort of kind of make the scoreline a bit more respectable. And Broncos' third win. They're still in 10th place, so they've got a bit of work to do. They're a better team than that. Warriors versus Seagulls, first game on the Saturday. We had the first draw of the year, and hell of a game this one. Pretty much had a bit of everything. Easily the game of the round, although there was some pretty good footy played in all games. Warriors were very lucky to get a point out of this one. The Seagulls were, that's how the Warriors would feel about it, and I think the Seagulls would feel pretty gutted that they let that one slip. Seagulls started really well, great defence, and managed to get out to a 16-0 lead with a few pretty awesome tries, pretty good tries. DCE was certainly running the show, and I think he likes to play against the Warriors. Warriors made a great comeback from there, and I think that's the biggest difference over this team for the last couple of years. But they managed to score. They came back into the game, but needed 8 points in the last 3 minutes, and managed to do that with a couple of pretty awesome, with a great try, and then also a highly contentious penalty. I think it was a bit ironic in the sense that contact was made on Shaun Johnson after he'd made the kick, considering Freddie Lussick had done the same thing a week before. He's Warriors, but in reserve grade. Obviously, that incident was a bit different in terms of the result. Elias breaking his leg, but at the same time, obviously they can penalise based on what happens to the player in terms of injury. But the reality is, Shaun Johnson was in a sort of reasonably dangerous position and was lucky. Anyway, there was no damage done, but I think based on the precedent set, any contact on the kicker there, penalty was justified. My personal opinion, of course, I'm extremely biased. But anyway, so Shaun Johnson had an opportunity to kick 2 points to level the score and take it into Golden Point. Golden Point, I don't know who had the best chance there, but there was a few drop goals, lots of offside probably, but Warriors probably had the best chance at a drop goal with Shaun Johnson just keeping the ball wide. Anyway, so we ended with a draw. Eels versus Cowboys, again didn't pick this one, 27-20 to the Eels at home. Not many would have given Eels a chance in this one, to be fair, especially after how the Cowboys got off to a good start and scored first, and then Cowboys got within 6 points with about 10 minutes to go at the end of the game. But the Eels managed to close it out. They did pretty well there. Still very hard to beat the Eels at home. They've got a few injury worries, and of course Mitchell Moses is out at the moment. But Eels, they were probably more desperate. Rabbitohs versus Sharks, score was 22-34 to the Sharks. Boy, the Rabbits are in trouble at the moment. The Sharks keep winning even with a number of their key forwards out. I think they had Toby Rudolph back. And Sharks are currently sitting first on the table. Rabbitohs dropped Cook, and rookie Jai Gray started for fullback for Latrell Mitchell. Anyway, in the game, Mulatalo scored 2 first half tries. Teague Wilton scored 2 tries. That left edge scoring a lot of the Sharks' points. It was 12-28 with 13 minutes to go. The Bunnies got within 6 and with a few minutes to go. So got themselves right back into the game. We've got to put a bit of context there, but then the Sharks scored again and sort of wrapped it up and sealed the deal. So yeah, I don't know, Bunnies have a bye and timing couldn't come at a better time for them. But I don't know, Dimitri, I know there's a lot of talk about that at the moment. They need to see some results. It's as simple as that. And Tigers versus Dragons. Tigers losing this one 12-24. Didn't pick this one either. It was at Campbelltown. Ben Hunt's absolutely class player, but in terms of the Dragons, they're a hell of a lot better team than they were last year across the park. Coach Flanagan is doing a hell of a good job there. A few players have a lot to play for, such as Zach Lomax. He's playing for his career, although he's just signed today for 4 years with the Eels, which is bloody good effort for him. He's been one of the he's playing on the wing, isn't he? But informed wingers this year. I think, scores were 24-6 with about 10 to 15 minutes to go. So, the game was over. Yeah, pretty much Dragons had the game. I think it was pretty close at the start, but then after about 20 minutes, I think the Dragons basically sort of dominated the game. It was Jacob Little's 100th game, and he's been in and out with injury in his career, so bloody good effort to make it to this point, and he's certainly their first pick hooker at the Dragons and doing really well. In terms of Raiders versus Titans, the last game of the round, hell of a good round 2. This was went to Golden Point, and the third game this season so far to go to Golden Point. We had 2 this round, of course. But man, what a game to finish the round. Titans played certainly their best game this year, and they were right in it. Obviously, had a chance to win. Looking like 12-0 at half time, or just before half time. Looked like the Raiders were sort of going to run away with it, but the Titans managed to score right on half time to get closer, and then it was 20-10 with about 10 minutes to go. Titans needed to score twice, and they did in the last 5 minutes. And then they still needed their sideline kick to level the scores. And Brian Kelly, Preston Campbell had... Preston Campbell, well, that's pretty good effort. Anyway, Jaden Campbell went off injured. I think he was their goal kicker. So Brian Kelly had to step up. And for his second NRL career kick, managed to put it straight through the post from the sideline. Hell of a kick. Anyway, so the scores are level, went to Golden Point, and I thought we were going to see another draw similar to the Warriors-Seagulls game. But in the last, it was the last play of the game, or the last set of the game, and Golden Point, and Ethan Strange, young fella, very confident, managed to make a break down the sideline around the outside of Cam Pereira, who actually came on as a reserve, but extremely ballsy move. Took the punt and made hell of a good break down into the Titans half. A couple of plays later, and the Raiders managed to kick a field goal, Jamal Fogarty, against his old club to win that one. Bloody awesome game, awesome result. So that sees us at the end of round 6, another brilliant round. The table, let's just check the table now. So Sharks are at the top, Storm 2, Raiders 3, Cowboys 4, Dolphins 5, Panthers 6, Warriors 7th, Seagulls 8, Roosters 9th, Broncos 10th, Eels 11th, Tigers 12th, Dragons 13th, Knights 14th, Dogs 15th, Titans 16th, Rabbitohs 17th. So the Titans aren't actually last, even though they haven't won a game, but thanks to their bye, they're ahead of the Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs on for and against is not pretty. They've been losing well, if you want to put it that way. Well, you'd have to argue the Broncos will end up in around the top 4 somewhere. I don't know where the Eels might get there. They're sort of hanging on. There's a lot of teams on 3 wins, so it's a bit of a bottleneck in the middle. Everyone's lost a game. Sharks and Storm right at the top there. They've both had byes, but they're on 10 points, so they're out in front. But the Raiders, Cowboys still got to have their bye. The Storm, they just have been chipping away there, haven't they? They've only lost 1 game. The Sharks have lost 1 game. I think it was against the Tigers, so they'll be looking at that, wishing that didn't happen. But if you were to sort of look at that leaderboard, look at the table and compare it with last year, certainly some of the teams that were struggling last year, like the Dragons, the Tigers, the Bulldogs, they're all playing a bit better, so I feel like it's a little bit more closer competition this time round. So anyway, so that's that. So look, let's preview the next round. I've done no work on this. If you're still watching, put a like in there if you can, but yeah, I do apologise. I appreciate that it's reasonably torturous. Anyhow, so first game of round 7, we've got the Roosters versus Storm. The odds are they're even. James Tedesco's back, and then we've got Joey Manu will go back to centre. Just on Joey Manu, he's just signed to Japan for 2 years at the end of this season, which is a hell of a big move for him. Being Kiwi boy, I'm sure rugby. He grew up enjoying rugby a hell of a lot. He's gone to Toyota in Japan, and the coach going there was just announced today was Ian Foster, the ex-All Blacks coach, and they come from a similar part of New Zealand, so I guess they've been talking. But anyway, I think for Joey Manu, I just wanted to touch on this. I'll probably touch on it in the rugby pod, but I think that it's quite a bit different than it used to be, I think, for leagueies coming across to Union. Certainly back in the day, outside backs were doing it quite regularly. There was an era with Australian rugby where they had a lot of outside backs, Lottie Takiri, Wendell Sailor, Matt Rogers, Andrew Walker, all come across, and they all perform really well. It's a bit of a different game. I think the two games have sort of separated at that high level a little bit, but you compare, just thinking about what Joey Manu's about to do compared with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, but certainly going to Japan probably can ease him into the sport a little bit easier. So let's just see what happens there. But back to Roosters versus the Storm. I don't know. The Storm have got Nelson Asofa-Solomona back. I mean, he's been playing reserve grade, I think. I don't know if that's just because they've been trying to ease him back from injury or not. But anyway, he's back. He's a key man, if you ask me. And Joe Chan's on the bench. But yeah, other than that, pretty standard. Pappenhausen's still there, even though he got a yellow card the other day. And Cameron Munster and Jerome Hughes are back, of course. And yeah, I don't know. I'd probably lean towards the Roosters in this one just because they're at home, but it could go either way. Next game for round 7, I think it'll be, to finish that, I'll give you a margin as well, but I think Roosters 1-12. Dragons versus Warriors. That game is in Wollongong. I don't know if the Warriors have had a great record there, to be fair. Dragons at home. Dragons just a solitary change for them with Jack Bird ruled out because of his head knock. So Zach Lomax will go into the centre and Christian Tuipulotu will go out to wing. In terms of the Warriors, Jazz Tavanga is ruled out because of that hamstring injury. He went off early in the last game against Seagulls. And Adam Pompey is promoted from 18th man to the bench to replace him. So not too many player movements there. Warriors are favourites there at $1.40, Dragons $2.70. And look, to be fair, the Warriors need to make a bit of a statement if they claim to be a top 8 side. This is one they need to be targeting. So I'm tipping the Warriors. I think it'll be reasonably close, though. The Dragons at home and they've been much better this year, much more competitive. So I would say Warriors 1-12. Then we've got the Eels versus Dolphins. Eels strong favourites there for that one, and it's a home game for them. Wow, no, it's in Darwin. Home game for the Eels, but in Darwin, as they do, I think, pretty much every year. In terms of the Eels team, Blaise Talangi has been recalled, but just on the bench. I think that the Haas pairing that the Eels have had for the last couple of weeks, they'll probably stick with that for a bit until Mitchell Moses comes back. But that means Kalma Tuolangi is out. Junior Polo is named at prop with Joe Offenhawe on the bench. That could change on game day, as it probably has been a little bit. In terms of the Dolphins, Tabuai Fido's out with his hamstring injury, which is pretty unfortunate. He's a pretty key man for them, and that means young Try Fuller comes in at fullback for just a second NRL game. So we'll just have to see what happens there. Max Plath returns from suspension at lock. Rayson goes to the bench. And then Sean O'Sullivan gets a spot on the pine with Anthony Milford suspended. Tom Flegler remains sidelined. All right, a little bit happening there at the Dolphins. Eels strong favourites, and I'd probably agree with that. So I'd be leaning towards Eels. I don't know. It's hard for it to tip any team to go 13 and over against a Wayne Bennett team. So I'll go 1-12, considering Mitchell Moses is still not there. Anyway, we're moving on. We're up to Panthers versus West Tigers at Bathurst. Bathurst gets a game. That's pretty cool. Panthers, no Nathan Cleary, yep. But we'll wait. Yeah, so no news there. Brad Schneider then gets to play again, which is quite cool for him. He's been playing really well and filling in quite nicely for Nathan Cleary. And then Scott Sorensen returns in the second row. So that's quite a big plus for them. In terms of the Tigers, Lachlan Galvin is back from suspension. That's a big in for them. I must admit, for a rookie to be such a key man, it feels like he is. We'll wait and see, but feels like he's pretty key to this team, and sort of they're working in and around him. He'll be pretty keen to make a bit of a statement too, because of his suspension. Brent Naden comes into the backs, replacing Solomona Fa'atape, and then John Bateman is back after his concussion. So Alex Seyfarth goes back to the bench. And that's roughly it, to be fair. Where do we go with this one? I think Panthers will do it easy, won't they? $1.09. Yeah, well, freaking strong favourites. But yeah, no, I'll tip the Panthers to be 13 and over on that one. I need to write these down. In terms of the Titans versus the Sea Eagles, where are we? Saturday in Seabus Super Stadium. So home game for the Titans. Jaden Campbell's out, of course. Philip Sami's coming in at fullback. Thought maybe AJ Brimson might end up back there, but he's going to partner Kieran Foran in the halves, which means so I think he did play in the halves again on the weekend just gone, and Titans would definitely look stronger. But anyway, David Fifita's back in the starting side, so that's quite a good thing for them. He's been playing pretty decent minutes the last couple of weeks, so he seems to have recovered from his injury. Seagulls, they obviously drew with the Warriors, so they'll be pretty keen to get back on a winning track here. Ruben Garrick and Saab return to the backs, replacing Ben Travojevic, who has a hamstring injury, and Jackson Polo. Looks like Matt Lodge is back. He's going to get his first appearance. Josh Eloi, he must have got suspended against the Warriors. And then Nathan Brown returns to the bench. Anyway, so I would say that the Seagulls will win. I don't know. Titans are going to, after last week, they'll have a little bit of confidence there, but I'd say that the Titans won't win this one, but it'll be maybe a bit closer. So I'd say Seagulls 1-12. I mean, the Titans have to win at some stage, but I don't know, that Seagulls team is building quite nicely. And then we've got the Broncos versus Raiders up at Suncorp Stadium. Any news of the Broncos? No changes. No Payne Haas, no Adam Reynolds. In terms of the Raiders, Zach Hoskins out. He dislocated his shoulder. He'll be out for a little while. So that means Ata Mariota is in the starting second row, which is great result for him. And Chevy Stewart played pretty well in his first game last week on the weekend. Where would I go with this one? Yeah, Broncos at home. I'd say they should do that, although the Raiders have been playing pretty well, haven't they? But yeah, Broncos at home 1-12. Raiders unlikely to give too many points away, but they have done. But no, I'll look up Broncos 1-12. Then on Sunday, the last two games, we've got Bulldogs versus Knights. And Bulldogs at home at Accor Stadium. Well, it's a home game for them anyway. Connor Tracy has been named at fullback. I think Blake Taff is available. He's on the bench. So that's an interesting move, considering they were sticking with Blake Taff for the first, 4 or 5 games of the season. Stephen Crichton again in the centres. I guess there's been a lot of talk about Stephen Crichton going to fullback. Interesting that they've gone a different direction there again. Connor Tracy's been playing really well, though, I must admit. I do like him. He's plays with a lot of effort, a lot of heart. Sam Hughes started in a prop, Josh Curran at lock. But Bulldogs are likely to make a few changes right on game day. Anyway, Knights, no changes there. So Kalen Pollinger has been named. It'll be interesting to see if he follows through to kick off. Odds are pretty even on this one. I like the way the doggies have been playing, I must admit. I'll lean that way, 1-12 Bulldogs. If you could go either team 1-12, do that. But if I've got to make a tip, I will lean towards the Bulldogs, I think, at home on that one. For that. Anyway, last game of the round, Sharks, Cowboys. If you are still watching this, well done to you. I'm battling. Anyway, where are we at? So, Sharks, Sione Katoa has been suspended. So they've got a rookie and Sam Stonestreet getting his first game in the NRL, which is great for him. And then Braden Hamlin-Uele is back, so he's on the bench. And Cowboys just one change. Semi Valime coming into the wing for Murray Taulagi, who's hurt his hamstring. What are the odds saying here? $1.70 or whatever. TAB in New Zealand, $1.70 for the Sharks. Sharks favourites. It's in Sydney. Yep, I'd have to lean towards the Sharks. They're at the top of the table. I know the Cowboys have only lost 1 or 2 games, but we'll lean towards the Sharks. I feel like that'll be a pretty close one, 1-12, and the Cowboys I think they'll be pretty keen to bounce back after their loss on the weekend. Anyway, so that's the round. Thanks for watching again if you have been. And I'll make a video about the Super Rugby tomorrow. Until then, until next week, have a good one.